Welcome back to another episode of More Than a Mortgage. It's that time of the year, business planning, and where most people are heading into, coasting into the holidays. The successful ones out there are working on getting better, working on not only getting better in life, but getting better at their businesses. Doing it now. That's the name of the game, is not waiting until January 1st. We are starting this now, and Tom and I are going to dive in today and talk about some things that have really helped us, build a $100 million plus, $200 million plus branch here in Chicago. How it's made us better people. But we're going to talk about the tactics and strategies around business planning and what it's done for us and how it's helped our families, helped our businesses, helped our employees. So let's dive right on in. I got Tom Merritt here with me today. Hi, Tom. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. Getting a little bit of that winter, getting into December here, getting a little bit of the change of the weather, getting a little bit of a cold, but we're shaking through it. So we're good. I'll tell you what, though, it's my favorite time of the year. And I know we talk business planning, but I would almost say goal setting to a certain extent. Like, we're definitely planning for the business, but I think that's one of the biggest things that people think when they think business planning or getting ready for the new year. Everyone just focuses on business, but I think it's life. I mean, we all go through life. We got a lot going on, and so every year to put together goals, for your life. And, I think one of the key things that we were talking about earlier that's super important to understand is doing it now and really making sure that you're doing it before the year starts, as opposed to, once you get into January, February, and the year's already started.
So let's talk about that. Why is planning now the important part of it? Because I've got people that are like, hey Mike, can we sit down after the holidays and talk about my business plan? And I'm like, no, we're going to sit down now. We're going to sit down before it gets too crazy and the holidays get too packed. But why do you do it now?
I mean, there's so many different reasons, and I'm interested to hear yours. But first and foremost, we're finishing up the year, and typically there's not as much activity going on between Thanksgiving and the end of the year with the New Year's. And so it's a great time to kind of sit back and reflect and see where things are, from a business, where they're going to end up. You, for the most part, have all your final numbers. You have what's happened over the course of the year, and you really have a good understanding of it. The problem with waiting till January is now the year has started. So what, we're going to put together our goals and we're going to adjust them, and then we're all of a sudden going to be a month and a half, 2 months into the year. You've lost a quarter of the year.
So what I hear you saying is January is reactive.
Oh, 100%.
December is proactive, and what the brain needs is a target to hit. And you need it before you get into the trenches and start going to battle.
I mean, would you rather have somebody that's working on your business proactive, or would you have someone that's reactive? Proactive all day.
All day. Yeah, of course. And I think that's part of what I see. Sometimes where people don't do business plans is they drift into the new year, right? They drift in. Back from the holidays. It's quiet. It's January 4th or 5th, and everybody's still on their vacations. And they just don't know where to begin. And so that's why we like to get it out of the way now, so that we have that target set and we know. And this isn't just for business, guys. This is for we're going to dive into some personal success stories this year that have happened because we've paid attention to it. So if you haven't started yet, this is the time to do it right now. I know it's crazy with holiday parties and everything else going around, but what we do as a family is we'll sit down on a Sunday and block out maybe an hour or two to run through this together. As a branch, we're going to talk about how we do that here shortly, but start now. Don't wait. Don't be reactive. That's part of why you feel so. I think you can feel so unorganized come a new year, right?
Absolutely. I think the other reason, we've been doing this for years, so obviously some people are probably just starting out, but part of the reason we do this early, and usually, personally start in November, or at least the very, very beginning of December, is because things progress and you build and you grow off of them. And so you put down your initial thoughts, and so there are going to be 2, 3, maybe even 5 different iterations of it, and you can continue to improve, continue to grow, really delve into. I went into the other day, I was working on my business plan or some of the goals, and I recognized that a goal I have over here is really something I need to work on over here. And so now focusing on a goal, in a different area than I had originally thought will indirectly help me to build and go towards the goal.
So I mean, it's just really all about, and I think why we're saying starting now is it's about preparing your mind, your habits, your activities,
100%.
like what needs to be tweaked here versus here. Like, Tom and I have we've got some really good pieces that we're going to talk about today, and we're happy to share with anyone that needs this information. Just DM us if you want to any of the information we're talking about today. DM us, we'll get it out to you. That's something that Tom and I are passionate about, and if anybody out there needs a sit down, we're doing a lot of that right now too.
Absolutely, and I think it's good to do different types of planning and goal sessions. So, we talked about earlier having the branch as our whole group doing a session together, and again, we'll get into how we conduct that. But I also sit down and do this with my family because it's a great opportunity just to see where the family goals are, where we want to go together as a family, what we want to do. And then I think you talked about earlier as well, one-on-one with some of your business partners or some of your referrals. Again, they're all going to be a little different, but they're all super important.
Look, that is like, whether it's with your office, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your business partners, it creates alignment.
It does.
It helps you get aligned. It helps you get on the same page. It helps you understand what each other needs going into the new year, going into next year. We think next year in our industry is going to be a very good year, but who knows? And how are you going to get there?
So, and I think we maybe even put the cart before the horse in the sense that why goals are important. And, just the fact that putting something on paper and verbalizing what those goals are is half the battle. Because once you do that and you let people know what they are, you hold yourself accountable to a certain extent, and you let others hold you accountable. And so the goals themselves, and I don't know the stat, don't quote me on it, but something to the effect of when you write down and share goals with people, it's over 50% they come to fruition.
Yeah.
And it's because you have put them together. It's because you've really focused on doing what you want and you've shared them with other people.
So let's talk a little bit about the planning process. And I'm going to use our branch as an example. How do you get, if you're running an office out there, you've got a business and you want to get your employees together and kind of talk about the new year and plan for it? How does that work? Where do you start?
Well, and I think every business might be a little bit different, but I know for us, one of the important things to do is where are we now? And so really addressing where the business has gone or where we are personally or professionally.
Look back on 26,
100%.
on 25. Look back.
Yeah.
How did we do? Where did we? What were we?
What did we fall short of? Why did we fall short? Where did we succeed? Why did we succeed? So before setting goals or before putting things out there, we have to understand where we are.
Yes.
Or where we've come over the course of the year. And I know you and I go off and we review those and we figure out what are the goals for the overall branch, generally speaking, based off of what we've done over the course of the last 11 months.
And then you get that compiled. And how complex or simplistic does this all need to be when we portray it out to the team, or when you sit down and you put it on paper? How long's your business plan? Usually speaking.
I don't think there's a rule. I think whatever you can do is good, just doing something to start. I think it can get very complex and it can be very broken down. I think it starts general and gets more specific. And what I mean by that is, so we take a look at what the business has done as a whole and then break it down into, various people on the team, different areas within the business that we succeeded or grew. Similar to if we're sitting down with, referral partners. Well, what did you do? Where did it come from? And now when you set these goals, are we going to augment that, and how are we going to do it? Or are we going to create other opportunities, and how are we going to do that? And so you can continue to build through things.
And I think where I was kind of going with it too is just don't make it too complicated, right? We use, I think our business planning form that we use is probably, when we break it all down, we do a lot of planning up front. Tom and I do personally when it comes to our business. But when we break it down to the team, it's simple. It's maybe 2 pages, and each goal that you're setting has about 2 to 3 bullet points underneath it that you want to accomplish. And that could be fitness, right? I weigh 200 pounds now. I want to get down to 185 next year. That's my goal. So that's a target that you put on there. Where are you at currently? Where will you be this upcoming year?
And there's two things you did right there, which I don't know I know you recognize it, but just to make sure people did is, number one, you made it realistic, right? So you're not going from 300 pounds to 150 pounds in 1 year. That's a huge jump and could, really discourage you if you're not making that track.
Yeah.
Number two, you made it measurable. And I think that's super important to understand. You said 200 pounds to 185. So we can measure it as things go, and we could break it into weeks. We could break it into months. We could, at the end of the day, we'll get there, but we're measuring it as opposed to just throwing a general, I want to lose weight.
Yeah, right. And so what, when you're looking at that, like what is a good measurement when someone's looking at, hey, I want to save this much more next year, or I want to make this much more next year, or I want to lose this many pounds, how do you make that attainable?
And again, I think it depends on where you're coming from. We've always talked, a 10 to 20% increase is,
or decrease.
Or decrease, I guess, depends on where you want to go, is usually something that's attainable. And, I think the important part is if for whatever reason in the first couple of months of the year you don't necessarily get on track, you don't want to have this big goal out there looming that you now get discouraged and you quit. And I think they said it was January 27th is the biggest day that people quit doing their New Year's resolutions.
That's about when the gym clears out.
It is 100%. But it's because they've made these goals I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, let's start with manageable expectations. And guess what? You can reset it. Whether it's 2 months, 6 months, or even 9 months down the road, let's start with losing 10 pounds as opposed to 50. And if after month one you lost 10, great, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
We've done that before. We get, halfway through the year and we're we need to reset our goals.
Yes.
And I
good or bad.
I think that's an important piece about a business plan is it doesn't always go exactly on track. Sometimes halfway through the year, you need to do a reset. In fact, I think resetting on your business plan halfway through the year is impactful because it gives you that second half surge that you need to refocus, retool, get back in alignment with what you set out for at the beginning of the year. And look, the whole reason we set goals so high is if we don't hit them, we still had a great year, right? And so I don't expect to hit every single one of my goals, even though I do. I expect to set the bar to a point where it's attainable, and if I don't hit it, I still did pretty well, and I'm
Absolutely.
happy, right?
And I think you mentioned the reset, and we can talk about that later, but the reset and having that mentality is super important because you don't know outside conditions that may not have any control. I know for one, the last 5 years, the market, whether it's because of COVID and artificial interest rates for our business or the market and big increases in interest rates. So those are things that you need to adjust and you need to ultimately overcome and understand it's not a failure, it's just an adjustment.
You mentioned earlier, sitting down with your business partners and how that can really put you in alignment, and
Absolutely.
It's a good thing to do this together. Have you had any of those yet this year?
I have had a couple, and
any success stories that have come off of them?
What I think is super impactful is first and foremost, it shows that you're aligned and you're working together, and so it strengthens that partnership. And to make goals together is to develop together. And so to have that business plan, whether it's increasing business and how you're going to do it and being a part of it, just shows in general it's going to strengthen it. The other side of it too, and because we're talking specific business, I would also link that to family and people you care about, because I know specifically I've done this with my family, and one of the things there's 4 of us. I've got 2 teenage boys, and everybody is going in different directions. And so one of our goals was to have family dinner together twice a week. To have that discussion around the table and to have buy-in, and this is where I was going with it, from other people or the partners is huge, because now you're all coming together and you're essentially agreeing that this is something that we would like to accomplish together. So when you go to a business partner and you say, we'd like to increase the business we do together or increase your business by 20%, you're in it together because you've got the buy-in.
I love that. So we have this big meeting in our office every year, and it's coming up this Friday. Whenever you guys see this, but we do it on a Friday. We take the whole day. We have everybody come in, and we run through an entire day of planning. We walk through everybody's goals. We walk through everybody's ambitions, what they want to do this year, vacations,
personally and professionally.
Personally and professionally. This is not all centered around business, guys. It's something you got to do both personally and professionally. And when we wrap that meeting up, we finish it up with a big party at the end. I think, and tell me what your thoughts are on this, but the number one thing that got me to where I was this year and hitting most of my goals was not that meeting necessarily, because I've done them in the past, and I'm not going to lie, I hate to announce this, but I sometimes have just tucked my 2 pages of business planning that we went through that whole day, and I tuck it away in a drawer, and
never look
and
at
I
it
pull
again.
it back out maybe in the spring, and I'm like, it's crumpled up and everything else. This year I took a different approach, and I actually laminated it. I had it in front of me all year. And so, a takeaway from that meeting that you have, or any business plan that you're doing on your own, is you can't just put it away, stuff it in your bag. You have to laminate it. You have to look at it. You have to review it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let me stop you right there. So what did that do for you?
Well, I mean, it not just for me. It did for everybody.
Well, everyone that did the lamination and kept it in front of you.
I hit 90% of everything that was on there this year.
90% of those goals. And some of those were some pretty ambitious goals coming off of a year that was not necessarily where we thought that'd be.
To be honest with you, I was a little bit doubtful at Q1 last year, end of Q1. I thought, we could see things go a different direction. And that wasn't just doubtful in business. It also affected some of the personal goals that I had too, because both work symbiotically together. And so, there were some doubts at first, but I stayed the course, and I looked at it, and I reviewed it with my family. I reviewed it with my team. We had conversations around it all the time. So we talked about it a lot.
What's in front of you, what you discuss, what you put across is what happens. And, whether it's a written, goals and, different areas of your life and what you're trying to accomplish, or other people prefer, say, a vision board. But having that vision board, you manifest it into happening. And we've got a loan officer in our office that a couple years ago put together a vision board, and some of them were some pretty lofty goals. Every single one of them, if you go look at that vision board today, have been accomplished.
Yeah.
And it's, again, keeping it in front of you. It's revisiting it and understanding it. It gets you back on track.
There's another component to it, too, that I wanted to hit on that I think you and I both were able to, tackle this year. And so, as we talk about business planning, there's also components around yourself, your different spheres of life, your health, your friends. We do kind of a wheel of life type of exercise with our whole branch and ourselves and our families. And so one of the areas that, well, let me ask you, what is one of the areas that you improved on, you think, the most this year, based off of having that self-evaluation of the areas of your life that were maybe incomplete or that you needed some work on? Was it yourself? Was it your friends? Was it your money? Was it your job? Was it your spirituality? What was it that was your biggest win this year? Because I know what mine was.
Well, that's good.
It's probably the same as yours.
Well, I don't know. There are a number of different areas that, for various array of reasons, I would say were wins. There were definitely some losses that I didn't accomplish. But I think one of the best wins that I had was family. I took a step back last year, and I realized that my 16-year-old has 2 years left in my household. And so, sat down with the family, and we talked about it, and we made a concerted effort and plan that we were going to go on certain family trips, and we made it into a little bit of a college visit / seeing different sporting events at different colleges and things of that nature, where we could all travel together, be together, just the four of us, so that we got some intimate time. Because
that's awesome.
At the end of the day, within the next 2 years, he's going to college, and then who knows where, and we're not going to have those opportunities. And so while that may not necessarily show up in the bank account or may not show up on the numbers for the leaderboard, from a personal perspective, it was really gratifying, and it was awesome because my relationship with my son has always been good, but it's that much better because we were able to share those experiences.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say the spirituality piece too.
I know you did. That's why. But
You know, Tom and I were, and I think you guys probably see an episode coming out on it, but we had a really nice trip to Guatemala this year for a mission trip that we did, and that was one thing that was on my list this year. Was like, I am 1,000% going to do something bigger than I've ever done than myself.
Yeah.
And you know, to be able to see that vision through this year was unbelievable. But it would never happen had I not, you know, sat down and actually planned for it at the beginning of the year. Had I not written it, it was part of my overall, like, you know, 1 year vision that I put together. And had I not done that, I probably would have planned a hunting trip over top of it.
Which is awesome to hear because of it being a goal and writing down. And I'll take the flip side, and this is kind of how business planning and personal goals work, is I did have the spirituality as something to work on, but I had it at the very bottom. It wasn't very important to me, if you will, at least with regards to my priorities. And what that trip did for me wasn't so much accomplished a goal I had, but it has created goals for me for this year.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so we're talking about the 1 year vision. You know, there's two pieces of the business plan that we all put together. One's the actual business planning, and it's talking about our accomplishments that we want to accomplish this year. Where we're going with it on the south side of it is we have a 1 year vision that we also do as well. And this is where our families get really involved, and we sit down and have those conversations on like trips that we want to take, and, you know, long weekends we want to do together, and, you know, time that we want to spend outside of work together. And, you know, we go through this whole, like, it's probably a page and a half as well. If you're not doing that for yourself or with your family, that would be one shift. Like, even outside the business plan, that would be one shift, because I feel like in order to be successful in your job every day, you have to be successful with yourself. You have to feel really good about yourself. So working on those little things that you need to improve with yourself, that 1 year vision really tackles a lot of that.
100%.
And I gotta tell you, like, that is, you know, the one that we just crossed off this year, and it was fun, and it was like the kids had so much fun this year. We've got so many memories in 25 that it wasn't even necessarily like a big elaborate trip, although my wife and I took our dream vacation together this year. But, you know, it was like just a long weekend down to see some friends, or, you know, going down to like see her parents in Texas, or sometimes it was just going over to see her mom, who's, you know, been sick. And so, like, those times together that you put on paper and you pay attention to, that was one of the biggest game changers that brought us like a lot closer.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what I will say is, by doing these goals and putting them together for our family, what was really cool was to, again, share what some of those goals were, like you mentioned. But also, I can go in my son's room and he's got this hanging up, and he's got his own personal goals for work, or for school, for money, for friends, for, you know, self, you know, working out and things. And so to see it posted in his room, and again, I didn't tell him he needed to post it. We just went together, but I may have suggested it. But to have that hanging up there and going through it and tracking it himself, I think is a great life lesson, and something that he'll take and be able to continue to do.
That's awesome. So the secret sauce to all this, guys, is, in kind of wrapping things up here, is don't start in January, right? Start your planning now. If you need help with that, reach out. We're happy.
We've got tools.
We've got tools we can share with you. We've got forms that we can send over to you. We could set up meetings with you and help you run through this if you want to do that. Laminate. Once you're done setting your goals and make them attainable, laminate them. Put them in front of you. Keep them on you at all times. I would say review weekly, but if you're not going to review them weekly, at least once a month. Take a look at them. How did I do this month? A month at a glance. You know, cross them off as you go along. Like, I think I told you maybe like in June or July that I've hit like 65 or 70% of my goals on my.
How crazy is that? That's amazing.
And that was just because I paid attention to them and I looked at them. So don't lose sight of them. I think that's what we are the worst about as human beings, is that we set goals for ourselves, but we sometimes lose sight of them and tuck them away in the drawer, and we don't pay attention to them. So I know some people even hang them up in their, like, on their bathroom mirror and look at them every morning that they're getting ready for work. So you know, take that time to really, you know, spend on it. Like Tom said earlier, you're gonna have like probably 2, 3. Sometimes I have 4 different versions till I populate them into that final version. And that's why you want to get a little head start, so you have that like bullseye. You know what you need to do. You know what areas of your life need the most work. Those are the things that we're working on right now. So if you have any questions on this, any final thoughts that you want to like talk about real quick and before we wrap up here today?
All I can say is start early, like you mentioned, and don't be afraid to modify, update, or continue to do it. And then, as you mentioned, I think the most important thing is share. Share with the family.
Have an accountability partner.
Well, accountability, find
Yeah.
someone that can hold you accountable because by sharing it, it's going to make it happen that many more times but that much higher of a percentage. And then just make it visible. Don't put it in that drawer. Instead, hang it up by your desk, hang it up on the mirror so that you're constantly in front of you, because if nothing else, it's going to continuously remind you of what you wanted to accomplish. And again, you can change it, you can update it, but at least you've got that there.
Yeah, and if you're thinking who is a good accountability partner, it could be anybody. It could be a family member. It could be like a business partner. Whoever you share these goals with, that would be my accountability partner. When you say, and again, I think that's really important to share those goals. Tell people what you're looking to do this year, because without sharing them, it's all internalized, and they're not really goals that you have any sort of accountability around.
So a little pro tip. Share the goal,
Yes.
and then set periodic check-ins where you can at least check in and see how it's going. Even if you haven't progressed at all with it, knowing that those check-ins are coming in. So whether I met with a group of guys, we put some goals on paper, the first Thursday of every month, we're checking in. Where are you at? How are you doing? And just knowing that that's there helps keep you accountable, because you don't want to let anybody down.
Yeah, I had a business partner the other day. She said, Mike, this is hard for me to do these types of things because I don't have anyone to hold me accountable. My old business partner and I kind of went different ways, and I'm like, well, you need to find a new one. And if you need a new one, let me know. I would be happy to sit down with you and talk to you about how I can help you hit those goals this year. So find someone that genuinely is there to hold you accountable and is not just kind of shrugging off your goals. Hey guys, listen, follow us on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We'd love for you to follow us. We've got a lot of good stuff coming out in 2026 already lined up. We've got things lined up in the near future. So we'd love for you guys to continue to be supporters of our podcast. And other than that, I hope everyone has a very happy holidays. And
Absolutely.
I'm Mike Black, and this is
Tom Merritt,
we are
More Than a Mortgage.